Right there. Can't wait to see you. In a little bit.
Okay, babe.
Kris Jenner is facing heartbreak after Corey Gamble, her longtime partner and confidant, rejected her marriage proposal. Yes, you heard that right. Kris, who has built an empire, crafted world-famous brands, and raised one of the most influential families on the planet, got turned down by the one man who seemed to be her rock. Now, we all know that Kris isn't exactly the type to let anyone stand in her way. But this is next-level drama. Let's dive into it, shall we? For months, Kris Jenner had been secretly planning the perfect proposal for Corey Gamble. Sources close to Kris say she'd been dreaming of taking their relationship to the next level. The signs were there. Kris was dropping major hints about marriage to anyone who would listen. She'd been asking her daughters about wedding planning, doing casual research on engagement rings, and was even spotted wearing a ring that looked suspiciously like a promise ring. But why now? After all this time, Kris Jenner has been through a lot in her love life, from her highly publicized marriage to Robert Kardashian to her split from Caitlyn Jenner and everything in between. Kris has always been vocal about valuing love while remaining equally committed to building her empire. So why was she suddenly ready to tie the knot again? Some say it's because she finally feels like she's found someone she can trust, someone who has supported her through the chaos, media frenzy, and roller coaster life of being a Kardashian-Jenner. That man is Corey Gamble. Their bond seems to be the foundation of her readiness for marriage this time around. Unbreakable, he's been by her side since 2014, quietly supporting her, handling the spotlight, and keeping his distance from the drama. Until now. Here's the kicker. Corey turned her down. Yes, you heard that right. According to multiple sources close to the couple, when Kris went down on one knee, yes, she was going to propose. Corey's reaction was not what she expected. He looked at her and, according to insiders, said, "I'm not ready for marriage. Let's just keep things the way they are." Ouch. Heartbreaking, right? Kris Jenner, someone who has built the Kardashian-Jenner dynasty, who's been at the top of the game for decades, and who has weathered some of the toughest storms, got rejected. Corey, who's known to be laid back in private, isn't exactly the marriage-first type. This rejection was more than just about not being ready. It was a deep emotional blow to Kris. Sources reveal that Kris was devastated. This wasn't just about marriage. It was about the future, about Corey being her partner for life. But Corey was firm. It wasn't the first time they'd had these talks, but this time, it hit differently. Kris was serious. She had hoped this time would be different, but clearly, it wasn't. And this, dear viewers, is where things get even messier. Before we rush to conclusions, let's dive into Corey's mindset. Why wasn't Corey ready to marry Kris? Well, let's start with what we know about Corey. He's a private guy, never really looking for the spotlight, unlike the rest of Kris's famous family. While Kris is all about running the show, managing public relations, and staying in the media spotlight, Corey seems to be more of the fly-under-the-radar type. He's a talent manager. He's done his own. Corey has maintained a relatively low profile, and some insiders suggest that he simply isn't interested in getting married. In his early 40s, Corey may not feel the pressure that comes with marriage, especially since he's already living a comfortable and successful life with Kris by his side. Marriage isn't always the ultimate goal for everyone, and for Corey, it might just be too much too soon. Additionally, the age gap between Corey and Kris could play a role in their differing perspectives. Corey is in his 40s, while Kris is in her 60s. Although they share a strong bond, the dynamics of their relationship might feel different given their respective life stages. Some insiders speculate that Corey's reluctance could be tied to his personal life goals. Perhaps he's not interested in the obligations that come with marriage, especially when he's already deeply involved with Kris and her family. When Kris faced Corey's rejection, she was reportedly crushed, though she kept her emotions private. Behind closed doors, she was heartbroken and confused. After nearly a decade together, she couldn't understand why someone who had been so supportive would reject her marriage proposal. Some say Kris was blindsided, as she had seen their relationship as solid and long-term. Kris and Corey's relationship seemed like a sure thing. They've traveled together, attended family events, and even been through major ups and downs. Kris must have thought they were on the same page about the future, but Corey's rejection was a gut punch. The real kicker? Kris doesn't like to show vulnerability. She's a business mogul, a public figure, and the mastermind behind her family's empire. But when it comes to matters of the heart, Kris is just like anyone else. She's been through divorces and heartbreaks before, and this rejection hits hard. Some reports suggest Kris has started questioning their future. Was she wrong to assume they were heading in the same direction? Is this a sign Corey isn't as invested as she is? Or is he simply not ready for what she's offering? So, is this the end of Kris and Corey's relationship? We know Kris is a fighter. She doesn't back down easily, but it's hard to ignore the reality. Kris isn't getting any younger, and at her age, the thought of starting over might be a tough pill to swallow. Could this be the end of Kris and Corey? This rejection might just be the wake-up call she needed to reassess her love life. But don't count out the possibility reconciliation just yet. Some sources are speculating that this rejection might just be a temporary hurdle. Maybe Corey's just not ready yet, but that doesn't mean he'll never be. Relationships aren't always about timing, they're about connection. And Kris and Corey do have that. If they decide to work through this, they very well could come out stronger on the other side. There's also the possibility that this could be a deal breaker. Could Kris Jenner, the woman who practically owns the world, really accept a man who's not willing to commit to her fully? Or will she walk away, choosing to focus on her family, her business, and her own happiness? One thing's for sure, Kris is not someone who will let this break her spirit. Whether she stays with Corey or moves on, Kris will make sure her empire keeps growing. And don't forget, this is just another chapter in her extraordinary life. The Kardashian-Jenner family is known for their tight-knit bond, and when Kris Jenner faces heartbreak, it's not just her struggle, it affects the entire clan. If Chrissy is heartbroken, you can bet the whole family will rally around her for support. With Kris being so close to her daughters, Khloe, Kourtney, Kim, Kendall, and Kylie, it's natural to wonder how they'll react. Will they back her up? Will they pressure Corey to step up? Or will they stand by Kris in whatever decision she makes moving forward? The Kardashians are no strangers to being deeply involved in their mom's love life. This situation raises the big question. What happens next? Is this the end of Kris and Corey's relationship? Or is it just a temporary setback? Will Kris find new love? Or will she work through the pain and continue building her empire alongside Corey? What do you think? Did Corey make the right call? Or is he missing out on something extraordinary? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for all the latest updates on this drama and more. You won't want to miss what's coming next.